All right, so everybody should see my screen now. It says expense reporting made easy, and you should see my mouse moving. Yeah, perfect. All right, so I'm going to shut off my camera just simply because it does interfere with the training sometimes. So I just want to make sure you guys get the best experience possible. Throughout the training, if you do have any questions, please feel free to jump right in, shout your questions loud and proud. This training is for you. So I want to do everything I can to help you make this process easier. Okay. All right, so we're going to start off in the web application. So logging into your ExpensePoint account, you're going to enter in an email address. You're going to enter expensepoint.com first, and then you're going to click on the client login button. That will bring you to your login screen. Don't worry about this. We're just updating some of our servers. So you're going to go in, you're going to enter in your email address. So for me, it's going to be my work email, kellymarcinyuk@expensepoint.com. And you can also email me there if you have any questions as well. And then just click the next. And then you're going to create a password for yourselves. So some of you have already established a password, which is great. But if you have not, you're going to click this forgot password, and it will send you a link to set up your password. That email can go into a spam or a junk folder. So just double check when you do click that. It should be pretty much instant to set up that password. Okay. All right, once you successfully log in, it's going to bring you to a dashboard. So from here, you'll see welcome and your name. Any reports you have submitted for approval, you can track them here. You can see how many days they've been pending approval. And then once items are approved, you can actually track your spending habits. There's a pie chart and a bar graph. And then these are all training videos and documents that you need access to. So all of these videos are very short, specific videos on how to do things in the ExpensePoint. There's the mobile app as well as the web applications. And then these forms are required to fill out as well with coinciding with some types of expenses. So did you want to talk a little bit about that, Lucy?
Sorry. So we do have the quick links here, and many of these you should be familiar with already as you have them in Webbox. But it's intended for quick, easy access, as well as some of the training refresh reminders. We'll be posting a recording of a training session so that you also have that to reference as you encounter questions as you go forward. But please know that our team, especially at headquarters, are definitely here to support you as anything comes up.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucy. Alrighty, so Expense Manager is where you're going to go in for all your reporting. So there is a receipt wallet here. Now, I want you to be your best advocate and actually bring in that receipt image as soon as you have it. So you can use the mobile app to take a picture of anything you want. You can take a picture of your computer screen, you can import a screenshot, and you can take a picture of anything physically in your hand. With the computers, you can download and import from any memory of any device. You can also link your email address from both the web and mobile. Linking your email to your wallet allows you to simply forward an email directly to the wallet. Any attachments on that email will be brought in as a image. And if there are no attachments, then the body of the email will come through as an image. So forwarding those, you're just going to forward it to my wallet at expensepoint.com. Our system is going to see where the email came from and put it into the appropriate wallets. So you should have your AOM email address as your default setting, and then any other email addresses like Gmail or Hotmail accounts you want to add, just click add and put the address that is unique to you that you will be forwarding items from. Okay. All right, so as you can see, we already have receipt images brought in. When you do import from the memory of your device, you're going to click and find where you have those receipts stored. You're going to choose a receipt and you're going to bring it in. So the very first thing that's going to happen is it's going to look at the detail of the image and bring it in. Then it's going to start reading the details off the receipt. So the receipt reading team is actually a live team of agents reading all that information for you. So you can cross off information, you can handwrite information, you can circle the stuff that you want brought in if it's a little bit confusing. Whatever you can see, they can see. Okay. You do not have to wait for receipt reader to finish reading for you. You can still take that and manually create your charge. So for the most part, if you bring in that image read away, the time that it's going to take to be read, you're going to be commuting to the next destination. So you take a picture, you put it in your virtual wallet, you go see the next client or you go to the next stop. You have another expense, you take a picture of that. By the time you get to the end of the day, you're at the office, all your receipts should be ready for you and you can bang out all your charges for that day. Okay, does that make sense so far? Perfect. Alrighty, so when you are creating a report, you're going to click the Create New Report here, and you're going to apply a name to your report. So for this example, we're going to call this our January 2021 expenses, 2022 expenses, and we're going to go ahead and hit Save. Now that we have a report created, now we can start adding all of our expenses to this report. Okay. So in my receipt wallet, I'm going to grab a receipt and I want to make sure that this menu of choices, it says create expense in, so that when I click that green button, it actually pulls that receipt out of the wallet. It has already started the charge for you. And when you select that, you will see your receipt in the side panel. Okay, so a single click from a receipt image brought in all the information already. All you're focusing on now are these red exclamations. These are mandatory pieces of information. So to show that again how I got there, I went from my receipt wallet, I selected a receipt. Again, I want to make sure that this says create expense, and I click create. There's my expense, there's my receipt. Okay. You can move these panels around as well. You can expand them or minimize them if you want to. The advantage of having the panel wide open on the side is as you're coding your expense, you can see that receipt right there. Okay. So we're going to go in and choose a category for this expense. So as you scroll through, you can see there's different choices that you can pick and choose from. So this is a meal, so we're going to choose our meal. And then once we select that, it then populates the next list of questions. Okay. So in our GL segment coding, we're going to choose a department that defaults to us. We're going to hit OK. And then we have to enter in the name of the volunteer. There is a pull down that will remember all the choices you used before. If it's a brand new volunteer, you can just type in their name. So if it's Thomas Dave, you can put that in. That's now going to be a new entry. List of attendees is all the people that were there because this was a meal. So this is going to be myself and Dave. And then all our totals attendees, there's 2 of us, and then it drives a cost per person. So we're going to hit save, and that expense is actually complete. The unsubmitted means there's no more questions. We're okay to move to our next expense. So we're going to go into this one. This one's a car rental. So same idea, just going into your category, choosing your car rental option, and then again, just focusing on these red exclamations. So we choose our department, we choose or list our volunteer, and then how many days rented. So we rented this car for 2 days, and we're going to hit save, and that's it. Okay. So other ways to create your expenses. So if you're not waiting for the receipt to be fully read, you can still take that receipt, create your charge, but most of the information is going to be blank, and you're going to see a 0 value and the current day that you created the charge. So it is in your best interest to bring in that image right away and let the receipt reader read it all for you. It's just going to save you some time. But if you're in a rush and you want to get this in, just open up the expense, and now you're just going to manually go from basically start to finish. You're going to choose the day of the expense of when it actually occurred. You're going to go in, you're going to choose your category for what the expense is for. So again, this is another meal. Under the establishment, you're going to enter in where you spent the money. So this was Boston Pizza. So we're going to put that in there. And then we're going to choose everything else as normal. We're going to choose our department. We're going to select the volunteer. We're going to put any attendees that were there. So it was myself and Dave again. We're going to put in the total as well, because again, the receipt reader didn't read anything and there was 2 people. So we're going to change that to 2. Okay. Alrighty. You can change the currency of where you're spending your money. So if you are traveling and you need to adjust the currency, everybody is set up with a default home currency. The receipt reading image and the receipt reader team do not see currency. They just see a number, 42.90. They'll bring that into the expense for you. And when you start creating that charge, it's going to populate your default currency. If you are traveling, in the currency selection here, you can just go in and choose the currency that you want, or do a pull down and pick and choose from all the currencies throughout the world. Okay. The exchange rate is automatically populated based on the date the expense occurred, and that comes from a system called xe.com. You can either enter in the exchange rate if you know it, if it is different than what the system generates. You can also say the conversion. So if you know it was 42.90 Canadian, but the US value is 37.52, you can put that in and it will adjust the exchange rate accordingly. So any of the 3, they all work together. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save that expense. So another type of expense you may want to do is a full manual because you do not have a receipt. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click this new expense. And then we're just again focusing on the information, the validity of the data. So the day the expense occurred, you're going to go in and choose a category for the type of spend. The most common one that a new expense is used for is mileage. Because you don't actually have a receipt, you're not spending money anywhere, but you do need to get reimbursed for that travel that you did. You're going to choose mileage. You're going to go in, you're going to choose your department, choose the volunteer, put in a brief description. When we get to the mobile, there's actually a voice to text conversion. You can talk to the app through the mobile and fill all this in as well. But we're going to put a meeting with Mike Smith. And then for the mileage, there's an add route. So you can actually put in the route of your travel. I can go from my lovely mansion in Beverly Hills. Oh, 90210, there we go. And we're going to go to the LAX airport, and we're going to do a round trip. You can also add points of stops along the way as well, but we're going to go ahead and save this, and it's going to bring in how many miles we've driven, and it's going to automatically calculate our reimbursement for that travel. You can also do an odometer reading. So if you do keep a logbook in your vehicle of all your odometer readings, you can put in your starting mileage, your ending mileage. And if anything out of that was personal, you can mark that and then hit OK. And the next time you do travel, it's going to bring in whatever your ending mileage was. As soon as we hit save, because we did the add route, it actually brings that map in as a receipt as well. Okay. So when you're putting your destinations or points of reference of stops, it always brings in the shortest route possible. If that's not the exact route you took, maybe there is some detours or something, you can type in how much miles you've actually driven and still keep that map as a reference as to where you went. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit save. And that's a full manual expense, whether it be doing a mileage or any kind of expense without a receipt. You're going to just click on new expense. Start from the top left-hand corner and just work your way down, making sure you have all the information and then hit save. Okay. All right, so one type of expense I want to show you is how to split charges. If we look at this receipt image and I open it up, we can see there's some parking in here. There's some food and beverage, maybe some miscellaneous charges. Sometimes you get that hotel receipt or charge to you, and you charge something like a meal to the room. So that is a separate type of expense. You have your hotel charge and you have your meal charge. They do have to be split out separately. So we're going to take this hotel for $221.24. We're going to create our expense for the full amount. We're going to take that whole $221.24 and we're going to put it to our lodging, our hotel. So that is our travel and lodging. There we go. We're going to make sure we have our department selected. We're going to put in a volunteer. And then there's our total. And then we're going to enter how many nights we stayed. So out of that $221.24, we're going to put $21.24 for something other than the hotel. We're going to go back to that expense and now we're going to go split. So we're going to split the charge, meaning out of that $221.24, we're going to go in and say $21.24 is going to be for something else. It's going to leave the $200 as our hotel. So I'm just going to go into here and I'm going to choose parking. Where's my parking? Okay, tolls and parking. There we go. All right, we're going to make sure we have our department selected. So $200 is our hotel that we've already coded, and $21.24 is now our parking. We're going to hit save. So we have two different types of expenses on one receipt. The best way to look at this report is actually through the print preview. You can see a full breakdown of all your charges. You can see here's that 200, there's our 2124. But in this menu, there's a detail. This shows you the full breakdown of those charges. So here's your split all in one view. We can see we started with 221.24. We split out the 21.24 for the parking and thus leaving $200 as the other one. You can keep splitting those charges however many times you need to code something. When you go to split it again, it's going to show you you have $200 remaining. So whatever was that first expense, whatever balance is left, that's what you have remaining. You never want that to be a zero because now you've oversplit. Okay, so always just make sure if there's 3 items that you need to code, you're going to have the main expense plus 2 splits to give you those 3 items. Okay. I like to say clear as mud. Yeah. Perfect. Any questions so far on anything? No. Alrighty, so I covered out-of-pocket charges. I covered receipts, splitting, mileage, and manual. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
The linking of receipts, if it's multiple pages.
Oh, yes, from the receipt wallet. Okay, perfect. All right, so when you first come into the wallet, there's a menu here. Now, each of these items represent a different functionality. The add receipt to is what you would do if you're adding an image to the entire report. So like a trip itinerary or some type of image or document that you need to attach that actually relates to every single expense on that report. That's the add receipt to. It just goes into the side panel. You'll see it floating here without a paper clip on it. And when we select it, it doesn't actually select any charges for us. If I click this receipt, you can see that item highlights. But if I click this other receipt, nothing highlights because it's just floating. Okay. The other option when you go into the wallet, I'm just going to go into my trash bin and restore some stuff. Oops, sorry. All right, so in this menu, there's also a link. So linking of pages, when you do forward any kind of PDF to your wallet, you're going to take the page with the total to create your expenses. And then all other items in which you need to attach those images, you're going to say link, select, expense. Because what you're doing is you're taking all other pages that were brought in and you're adding those images to that selected expense. So showing that here we have 2 receipt images linked to 1 charge. So if you think of a phone bill, you have the page with the total, and then you have the detailed pages of showing all the calls and all that other stuff. So that's where you would link essentially more than 1 image to an expense. Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about the trash bin as well, because that was one thing I did miss too. So when you delete any receipt images or items off your report, those images don't purge right away. They go into the trash bin of the receipt wallet. It's like the recycle bin of a computer. Now, you have 30 days to restore any images. So I always do recommend every couple weeks, just go into your trash bin, make sure there's nothing in there you still need. If there is, you can just simply restore it, put it back into your wallet, and it can sit here as long as you need it to. Okay. Awesome. Anything else I need to cover on here?
Just a
No.
reminder that, sorry, Melissa.
I thought we covered it all.
I think so too. The only thing I was just going to say is if you've lost a receipt and your expense is for $25 or more, we will need some documentation for it. And that's the same as our current process with Expense Watch. And there is a lost receipt form that you would fill out, and that would be in your dashboard list of links. So you'll have access to that as well.
Perfect. Yeah, so you'll uncheck if no receipt, and then on the dashboard, you would have a link to that document in here. Okay. Perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and submit this report. Once you submit a report, it does disappear from your current work. You'll no longer see it there. You can track it in your recent work. So that's really anything in the last 24 hours. And then all my work is everything from the history of time. There's a search option. So right underneath your work, you'll see the search. When you click it, it opens up a menu at the top. You can start filtering through stuff you're looking for. But really, you're only going to have the run report, and then going into next month, you're going to have 2 reports and so forth. Okay. The dashboard, you can track any reports you've submitted for approval. Again, you can see how many days, and then once it's approved, you can start tracking your spending habits. Okay. Oh, I just noticed there's some chat here. Okay, I think we already talked about that though. Perfect. All right, so if there's no more questions on the web application, I think we can talk about the mobile now. Okay. All right, so the mobile app, you can install it on any device. So you're just going to go into your app store. So if you have an Android device, you're going to go to in your Google Play Store. If you have an iPhone, you're going to go to your Apple Play Store, and you're looking for ExpensePoint. So it's all one word, capital E, capital P. You're going to see our logo with the check marks. And then once you install this onto your device, it's going to bring you to that login screen. And this is where you enter in your email address. So Kelly Marcinyuk at ExpensePoint.com. ExpensePoint.com. All right, perfect. There we go. All right, now you're just going to enter that same password that you set up through the web. It is cloud-based, so whatever settings you have from one, it's going to be the same for all of them. If you're setting up your password for the first time, there's that forgot password. Go ahead and click it, follow the prompts, and then you're good to go. Once you log in through the mobile, it's going to direct you to the Expense Manager as your home page. So here's any reports that you've have, so current or past. Just go into the menu, you can see all your history of all your reports. Here's that report we submitted from the web. Your receipt wallet is here, so all of your receipt images. Super user friendly to create your charges. Just take that receipt image and swipe it, or go into your menu, do a select, and then you're going to add them to a report. You can also link your email address in here. So we already have email addresses linked. We can add more. You can also have access to the trash like you do with the other platforms right here. Simply just swipe a receipt image if you need to bring it back into your wallet. The biggest advantage, huge camera icon here. Just take a picture of really anything you want, bring it into your wallet instantly. You can also do the camera icon here and take a picture and load it into your wallet. But you can also take a picture of a receipt as you do your expenses. So I'm actually just going to go into my submitted reports. I'm going to take one of these items back so I can show you what it looks like to create charges. So we have an open report. We call it January 2022 expenses. We can add more items here. So there's adding a new report, or when we click the report, we can add a new expense here. You can also do it right from this new expense folder. And this is where it's handy that if you just want to take that picture right then and there, and you don't want to preload the image, you could do that too. Just select the report you wish to add to, click the camera, take a picture, and then just follow these prompts. So this is basically a full manual entry. Choose the date of when the expense happened, click OK, choose a category for the type of spend, and then just follow these red exclamations. You're going to have a lot more because now you're manually entering it versus letting the receipt team of agents read that receipt. So to add a new store that you spent money, you're going to click the plus and you're going to put it in. So this is a bookstore we're going to say, and we're going to put add, and that becomes here now. That will be there the next time we go to create a manual one as well. Okay. Following the red exclamations, we choose our department. We click the back button to save that change. We put in the name of the volunteer. Scrolling through, just looking at these red items. So business purpose. So that's the reason for the expense. So meeting with Mike Smith. And we're going to go in and put a value. You can change currency here. All the currencies are listed. And then just hit save once you're ready. So that expense has now been added to this report. There's our manual entry. There's no paperclip because we didn't have a receipt. Any items that have receipts will have paper clips. You can also split charges here as well. There's your splitting of expenses. And then when you're ready to submit that report, you just take it, swipe to submit, the report here. There you go. You just swipe that report, submit for approval, and it's gone. Okay. One of the biggest advantages of the mobile is the mileage tracker. So it actually tracks you as you're driving, points of reference. You can join trips together instead of doing them one by one. So it's super user-friendly in this way. You just join those trips, swipe to create the charge, either create or select a report. I'm just going to put test on here for right now. So we have our report, we have our date of our expense, and now we're just going and choose our mileage. Okay. Everything else is pretty straightforward as all the other expenses. You're going to go into your GL coding, choose your department, select your volunteer. The miles that you've driven was updated as well. Now that should be the direct route you took because it's actually following you. If you don't want to use the tracker, you don't have to. There is the ability to add manually your starting and ending destinations. You can add stops that you took along the route. Again, that's going to bring the shortest distance possible. And then you may still have to update how many miles you've actually driven. Okay. All right, perfect. Any questions on the mobile app? No? Perfect. All righty, I think we're good to go. And if you guys do have any questions, feel free to shout out to either myself or your team internally, but we're all here for you, okay?
Absolutely. And if you need any support or help as you get into the tool and test it out a little more, you can certainly follow through with us at that time as well. So Kristen's asked if the system is only for expenses. Yes, it is expense reimbursement only. So we'll follow our existing process where you will manually send an invoice to Randy with the documentation for invoice management.
I have a quick question. Generally speaking, is it easier to use the system on a desktop or on a mobile phone?
Really, it's up to you. I like using the mobile for the simplicity of creating the expenses because it's super user friendly. You can't really do anything wrong on the mobile. If you're not paying attention on the web, that menu changes and doesn't always do what you expect it to do. But I do like to finish in the web because I get that print preview. And that really is handy because it helps you just make sure you haven't missed anything. So on our report, here's that print preview. There's a detail that shows that breakdown, but here's by date. So again, you can make sure if your first thing is an airfare and your next one's a hotel, well, how did you get to the hotel from the airport? Did you walk? Did you take a cab? You know, so this is a great report to look at before you submit to make sure you're not missing anything. Okay, so you can use a combination of the two. It's whatever you prefer.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other questions? All right, well, happy expense reporting, everybody.
Thanks,
Yes.
Kelly.
Thank you
You're
all.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks again, Kelly.
You're welcome. Okay, take